And our communication difficulties with Marco seem to have improved tonight. Again, I'm touching wood, Marco.
Thank goodness, yeah.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to speaking to Davey, and doing it down a clear line will be a big bonus.
Because we did have some issues, Davey is here. Davey Atkinson, Sunderland supporter, well known to listeners to BBC Radio Newcastle. Welcome to the studio, Davey. Brilliant to have you here.
Good evening, boys, and great to be here.
Thank you very much indeed. We've got Davey's son Kevin with us as well. Hello, Kevin.
Hello, lads. You all right there?
Good to have you
guys.
too. And Maurice Adamson as well, Newcastle supporter, is
Maurice.
here too. How are you doing, Maurice?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Thanks once again for the sausages.
Very good.
No problem.
Yeah. Well, you got some as well, did you, Davey?
Yes, I've got some sausages.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I heard Davey was poorly, so I brought him some sausage.
Obviously, a lot of people know Davey, you know, what you've been through. Kevin, I mean, you know, as a family, you've been through a heck of a lot. We have mentioned it on the programme. I don't know if you just want to run through kind of how things have been, how you are as a family, how Davey is now, because obviously, you know, you've been through a heck of a lot with the diagnosis that Davey had.
Yeah, so back in early April, we actually, well, my dad was kind of coming across a little bit confused in the house, and my mum noticed it. And my sister and my mum took him to the hospital, actually suspecting that he might be having a stroke, is what they suspected. But when they got there, they'd kind of done the CT scans and all these kind of different tests, and unfortunately it came back that he had 3 tumours on the brain there, which were cancerous. And then obviously over the course of the following weeks, he kind of had a biopsy done, and just to confirm that it was what they thought it was, and then obviously to see at what stage it was as well was what they were trying to determine. So unfortunately that came back as a stage 4. So yeah, going forward, I mean, he's in good spirits as always, and he has been throughout. A bit like he believed that Sunderland were going to get promoted. He believes, and we all believe that we can go and try and get him better, you know. And the treatment that he's been offered from the hospital is basically just chemotherapy through a tablet form. Now, my sister's a nurse. And my sister's done a lot of research into other things and other ways we can try and help my dad, because the hospital didn't really give us any hope of a cure for what my dad has. So we've kind of run off and researched different alternative things that we can treat him with, and that's what we've kind of done. We've got him on different kind of drugs, and it is having some effect. He's got a lot more energy with what we've given him, and unfortunately, it's the chemo. As people may know, you know, the chemo is not a very nice thing. It kind of takes away the energy that you could have, that we've kind of got back into him, and it only really kind of gives you people a little bit more time. But it'd be bad, and there's a possibility that none of us could go and visit him or anything like that. But unfortunately, what the hospital have also said is if we don't take that option, we can't, they won't help us monitor me dad either. So we've had to go private. They won't do any scans to see if what we're doing is helping him or anything like that. So we're having to go private. So that's what we're in the process of doing now. He's been on the medication for 4 or 5 weeks now. We've just getting some extra things that we believe can help him, and then we're just in the process of arranging private scans at private hospitals, and kind of doing it ourselves. We've had to, you know, to give him the best chance, and we'll hopefully get him fixed. So yeah, we've got a GoFundMe set up, just to try and help us with the cost of all of that. It's a really expensive thing to do. The best way people can find that is going over to the Mackham Cabbies YouTube page, and in the bio on his page is the link for that. And we're going to get people together, and we're going to be doing the Yorkshire Three Peaks at the start of July, just to kind of get the funds together, and so we can do absolutely everything in our power to find a way to make him better Yeah,
Well,
so that's where we're at.
Your positivity is incredible, and the fact that you've come together, I'm sure, as a family, not just yourself, to help Davey, and Davey's positivity as well in the face of what he's going through. It's absolutely incredible, Davey, and you're an inspiration. Let me just mention again, Macam Cabby on YouTube. Find that, and then you can find the link there, because I'm sure people listening would love to help out if they can, having heard that story. How are you feeling in yourself now, Davey?
I feel absolutely fine. I do feel fine. But obviously, there's hard roads to come. But that's all I can do at the minute. But I really feel well, and the support of the family has been absolutely out of this world, and I'll never ever forget what they've done for us. Never ever.
And Marco, you've been through your own health scare. It's only when something happens like this to an individual and to a family that I guess you can understand. Just how fragile life is, and how difficult it is to deal with something like this.
Yeah, and I totally feel the same way Davey does. That you don't. All the time I was ill. I didn't feel ill. I just was. There was certain things that were happening and out of my control. So difficult times, Davey, and it sounds like you've luckily got your fabulous family around you helping you, which was a huge comfort to me as well. So you just keep going, mate, because
thanks very much, mate.
We obviously all enjoy speaking to you and having you on the show, and long may it continue. And you've got to keep believing, because it's these things are sent to testers, but you must feel elated after the weekend. You must feel made you feel a bit relieved.
Absolutely amazing. I'll never ever forget this weekend with the way we played. I'll never ever forget this.
Yes, it was extraordinary. We'll talk much more about it as well as the evening progresses, of course we will. That's one of the main reasons that obviously we wanted to hear about how you're doing as well. I know, Maurice, you were chatting away to Davey in the green room. Ando, you've heard him on the radio. He was on Saturday, and he was on the phone earlier this week as well. I know you two have both kind of remarked just how inspirational he is as well.
100%, yeah. I had a brief scare with cancer, not as serious as Davey's, so I can kind of sympathise a bit. But it's he's an inspiration. The positivity. You have to be positive,
definitely.
and you've got great family around you, as I can see just by meeting them after 5 minutes. So I wish you the very best of luck.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you very much.
Well, he knows what I think of him.
He loves me.
He's not a bad fella for a man,
I nearly said that, John, but I thought I'd better not.
I just love it when Davey comes on. I think he gives everybody a lift. It doesn't matter what persuasion you are, whether you're red and white, black or white. I think when you come on, you're so positive, and you were so positive all the way along. When other people were down and out, you were going, you've got to keep the faith and keep believing.
Let's get carried away. That's the famous quote.
And that's what you've got to do now. You've got to keep the faith and keep believing. And with the help of your great family and everybody else. And everybody sends their best wishes, and rightly so, because I think you're an inspiration to everybody.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Tell us what you thought of the match, Davey. Go on.
I just thought we did play well. We played really well, and we enjoyed it. And we got the best result, and I thought we deserved it. And overall, there was mistakes made, but I just absolutely over the moon what they did. Yes. Absolutely brilliant.
There were times when you were probably concerned and wondered whether they would be able to do it, particularly I guess when the second goal, which was ultimately disallowed, went in.
Mad. But we fancied it. We just fancied it all day. We're going to get the game, didn't we?
We did. So even driving down there, I said to my dad, I don't, because obviously when you're going into these kind of games, you visualise different things that are going to happen and different outcomes, and every time I thought of what could happen, I never once imagined or pictured that we'd get beat.
No.
I just didn't. And even when we went to goal down, I was like, we're going to score. We're going to score. However, when they scored the second, I was like, I didn't see that happening. But I've never been a big supporter of VAR, but I absolutely love VAR.
I love it now.
Yes, it is getting extracted from the, or has been this week, extracted from the river, having been hoyed in the river by our dear old friend Albert some while ago. I think a lot of people have been saying that actually. I mean, I don't think you've been the biggest fan of VAR. I know as a Sunderland fan, you haven't had to cope with it, but I'm sure you when you
he loves it now. He thinks it's the greatest thing ever now, don't you?
Yeah. But go on, John.
We've said for years, haven't we, David? It gets a lot of things right. It's just when it gets it wrong, it gets it really wrong.
Exactly.
And and I thought actually right until he pressed that mic in his ear to speak. He pressed the button, did he, on his chest or something? I thought he was going to allow the goal. I really did just from his body language. He looked like nervous, like he was going to give it because he couldn't make his mind up. But so. It was a huge turning point in the game, actually, because they were cock-a-hoop, their players. They were celebrated in front of where we were, Davey, and they were. You could see how elated they were. Much more than the first goal. I think the first goal they thought, okay, great start. Good start to the day. Second goal, I think they thought they'd cracked it, and it really knocked the stuffing out of them.
Yeah, brilliant.
So it's job done this season, Davey, and now, people are already talking about the Premier League.
Can't wait for the Premier League. Can't wait for it all.
Because we were talking earlier about the betting odds and the fact that the bookies have them favourites to go down and all that kind of stuff. You don't think like that, do you?
No.
It's not your philosophy.
No, we believe in it.
We do. We'll be. I do think we'll be all right. I think the signings that Sunderland have made over the last few seasons have always been the right ones, and although when they're made, the fans don't really always support that, but they've always turned out to be right. Even look at one of the players this season who I think's been probably our most improved player, Mayenda. At the start of the season, he was getting quite a bit of stick from the fans. He'd be through on goal and the shot would hit the corner flag and there was no composure there. And then when you see what he did on Saturday, the complete opposite to what he was at the start of the season. So I do think we need to sign. We need to make some good signings with some experience in there, but to try and keep a core of them young lads together because they're fearless, and although they are young, they've got a lot of games behind them. So, I think sort of Job might be going away, but if we can keep a core of them together, I think adding 3 or 4 good quality players to that team, I think we'll be all right.
Well, I remember after the last derby, which was of course in the Cup, you were quite bullish ahead of it. It didn't go quite the way you wanted to, did it? Are you looking forward to these ones?
Aye. Yeah, we will wait the comeback.
You're saying bring them on?
Definitely.
Are you looking forward to the Morris?
I can't wait, what you're saying out there, maybe if it's Boxing Day or the first game of the season or something like that. Oh, honestly. Yeah, I mean, it's always a great event, and and it's long overdue. Is it 8-9 years since you've been in the Premier League? So can't wait for the derby day.
Great. Indeed, that's the first fixture or pair of fixtures we'll be looking out for when the fixtures are released next month. Let's talk a little bit about Newcastle with you, Morris, as well. Champions League and a trophy. Eddie Howe has just received the freedom of Newcastle, deservedly so. I guess he's probably got the freedom of Rothbury as well, has he?
You can have his sausage for nothing when he comes up to my shop, I tell you. I mean, well deserved. I mean, it's one of our best seasons in history. Well, and I don't say that lightly. We've won a cup first time in 70 years and qualified for the Champions League in the same season. That's huge.
Yes.
And I had a Man United fan winding me up this morning on the phone saying that it was only because of us and all that, and it was in your hands and you bottled it. But it goes over the season, and over the season we deserved it. The league table doesn't lie. So I'm absolutely amazed and chuffed to bits that we're back in the Champions League.
The expectations will skyrocket again, won't they?
Well, they will. If we'd got sixth and we'd been in the Europa League, we'd probably had a chance of winning that. Champions League winning's another kettle of fish, but we've got to spend now, haven't we? We had 3 transfers windows where we've bought next to nothing, or loan players and stuff. But we really have to push on and challenge now.
How excited are you about what comes next? I mean, you're probably. Last time round in the Champions League, they came very close to progressing. Obviously,
dodgy penalty in Paris. Wasn't it? It's as simple as.
But it's a different format now, of course.
It is. I mean, we need a bigger squad. We were playing 3 games a week, and everybody's getting injured, and we just have to improve. But by improving, we'll have to buy quality. We're back 4's aging. I know we're linked with Gay and Wemo, quality players. We've got to buy top quality players, and fortunately, I think we've got the money this summer to do it.
Yes, we'll talk a lot more about this, I'm sure, as the evening progresses.
It's 6 o'clock with your BBC News. I'm Lee Jones.
Carragher, your thoughts?
Yeah, look, I don't understand why VAR's taken so long. It's an obvious decision. Send her off.
Matt Bailey at breakfast.
Just ask your smart speaker to play BBC Radio Newcastle.
And this is Total Sport on BBC Radio Newcastle. Simon Pride, John Anderson, Marco Gabbiadini. We've got Big Davey in the studio, Davey's son Kevin as well, both Sunderland supporters. We've got Morris Newcastle fan too. It's a full old studio. A message that's come in from Paul in Durham, Sunderland supporter. The sun has hardly set on the Wembley win and already a supporter is criticising Dan Neil, says Paul in Durham. I did read out a message earlier to that effect. Typical of some groaning moaners that have no joy in the game. Enjoy the moment and get behind these young lads, says Paul. I think, fair enough, but also, people are entitled to have an opinion on players, and this particular message was looking ahead to next season and saying...
I think it's the fact that, how good the season went, that we were top of the table until... Was it November the 3rd or something like that? I was looking at this the other day in the programme at the end of the season. We were top of the league for a third of the season just about, and then we carried that on to not fall out of the top 4 all season, and someone's calling our captain and one of the highest minute takers in the season, saying that he's not good enough. I just don't understand it. Look, we don't. He's entering the unknown. Stepping up to the Premier League is a big step for any player, but he's done all the right things, and we only have to see how many of the England squad who've been at finals and semi-finals in the last few years, how many of them made their way in the EFL before they stepped up to Premier League football?
Davey, I know you're always very positive, and I'm sure that you wouldn't have a bad word said against any of the team currently, even looking ahead to next season and thinking about who might be surplus to requirements.
Yeah, I just think this season's going to be massive with mergers and things like that, and it'll be a great season. I just think it's going to be a great season.
Yeah, recruitment. You're right. I think that's what you're trying to say there, David. Recruitment's going to be the big issue, isn't it? And how they approach that. Yeah.
Yes, and they've got a pretty good record, let's be honest, in terms of recruitment so far, haven't they? Despite the fact that they have received some criticism along the way. Before we have a chat to Ian, who's on the line now, I'm just going to read this one out from Paul. Another Paul. This one's in Morpeth. He's a Newcastle fan. He says, Newcastle are to improve. Eddie Howe needs to get ruthless with getting players out. So he's another one talking about players that perhaps aren't good enough, because we need to equal or improve the players coming into the team. As we have... You're right there, Marco. Who are you whispering to?
Sorry, the dog just came in the room. I was just sending it out.
All right, okay. Well,
I think it smelled Morris's sausages from the butcher.
Yeah, your dog can stay. What's it called?
Dexter.
I thought he was going to say Gatesy there.
Dexter!
Don't worry, he's deaf and blind. He's 13, yeah.
Anyway, where was I with Paul?
It is Gatesy.
Don't say that. I was with him all day yesterday. We were doing
How's he getting on?
He's in great form as usual. Yeah, still hasn't got a mobile phone, and all those things. Sat nav in his car and anything like that. But he was full
He's
of
old
it.
school. All right, let me finish this message from Paul then. He says we have a big season next season. The same players cannot play every single game, and he says Willock, Longstaff, Target, Lascelles all gone for a start. Wilson will be given a weekly wage plus a playing bonus. Asula will not get a chance. Or if we do get another striker, Asula might as well go out on loan. That's Paul's assessment. Any thoughts, Morris and Ando?
Look, I think expectation levels will rise. I think we've got as Morris has already said, we've got to strengthen in this window. We need to bring 4 or 5 in. Something we've spoke about before. You even the Everton game at the weekend, the substitutions that we made. You want your substitutes to come on and have an impact on the game. And unfortunately, in games that we've been chasing games this season, and he's made substitutions. Those substitutes
been like for like, hasn't it?
But it hasn't changed the game, or they haven't had an influence.
That's
in the game.
I love Eddie Howe. I absolutely love him. But my one criticism, sorry, Ando, is he doesn't make substitutes quick enough for me.
Again, it comes back to what I've been saying all season, Simon, that he's been very reliant on 14, 15 players that he's got total trust in, that he knows he can rely on, and he throws other people on, and he's not really convinced that they can come on and do a job for him. That's why this transfer window is absolutely massive for us.
Ian is on the line. Ian's a Sunderland supporter.
Hello, Ian.
Welcome to the programme, Ian. Oh, hang on, I'll turn you on. There we go. Try again, Ian. Go ahead.
Good evening, Simon.
Evening, Ian.
Let me tell you about my day on Saturday, Simon. And you were the first part of it. 11:30, met you and Dom.
I did bump into you, didn't I? I bumped into you on Wembley Way, Ian. Yes, of course.
We did. And we had a chat. Then went to the ground and met such wonderful people as Steve Davison, the ex-stadium manager, who was on my table in the Diamond Suite. I was with Sir Tim Rice, chatting to him.
You name dropper, Ian.
Tony Mowbray, chatting to him. Even the ex-Sunderland manager of, bless his son, Lee, who was there as well.
Lee Johnson.
Chatting to him. But guess what? All of that was usurped because I got a cuddle off Davey. Is that right, Davey?
Good lad.
me and Davey shared a cuddle in the Diamond Suite, and it was the best moment of the day. And it was only usurped, Davey, I'm sorry to tell you, only usurped by my ender and that little blonde fellow who's up in Brighton now. They usurped it slightly, mate. But listen, it was brilliant to meet you. It was brilliant to see so many happy Sunderland fans, Davey. You've got to see it. It was a day in a lifetime, mate.
It was best day of our whole life. We'll never get days like this. Never.
Well, and you live for every day, David. I know you do, and your boy, your boy on Saturday. Yeah. Unfortunately, Davey, you then lost the role of being my star for the weekend because I then got to go downstairs and meet Wilson Isidore with the trophy. So I'm sorry to say you come slightly second to Wilson Isidore. But you're right, Davey. Davey, that day was magical. The whole day, from start to finish, and it was well deserved. And criticism of Dan Neil, criticism of anybody is so unjust because the season we've just had, it's been a squad season, Davey.
It has.
Every player at some point has risen to the occasion, no more than Saturday, but that's what the squad is. I mean, Newcastle fans getting about how many substitutes. Register Brees has just blown the rule book away, using kids and bringing on kids and taking off your club captain. It's a huge thing for Register Brees to do on Saturday. Taking off Dan Neil and bringing on Tommy, it's a huge thing, and it worked out. So listen, anybody who's got any criticism of Sunderland Football Club shouldn't be on the radio. There shouldn't be. Everybody's allowed their opinion.
Okay. But maybe for this week only, certainly, and then maybe people can start to kind of think about next season.
You wouldn't have a show.
That's a very astute point, Morris. Yes.
Yeah. But listen, Davey, for you, mate. Listen, you know you've got a load of mates behind you. I've told you before. Be back in the stadium with me next season, buddy, and we'll be cheering on Sunderland in the Premiership.
Good lad. That's brilliant.
And Margot.
Yes.
I was with you yesterday. You didn't see me, but I saw you down at Roker Beach. And by the way, you look very becoming in that blue tracksuit top.
Well, it was like I felt like Marlon Brando. It was all top secret and hush hush, and they kept putting a coat over my shoulders like I was some kind of star, But it was just to hide the merchandise, so I wasn't that special. But it was good. It was good fun. How it'll all go, what they make of what me and Gatesy were saying to each other, I'm not sure. It's all going to come out and be very exciting in a few weeks' time. So
what was that big sheet of paper that Gatesy was holding? It looked like a newspaper.
He's not allowed to say anything. He won't tell us anything, Ian.
Yes, I can't tell you anything. It'll all come out. It'll all make sense sometime along. I mean, we were there just watching the Dolphins, really. That's what it was all about. Me. Yeah.
All right. Listen, lads, thanks, Simon and everybody at BBC Radio Newcastle. Thanks so much for the support you've given us this season. Like I say, it's very unbiased because obviously there are two clubs in the area. And best of luck to everybody for the close season and Premiership. Here we come.
Come on, that's the way, son.
Thanks very much indeed,
for everybody. Tremendous.
Ian, another one still buzzing after the weekend, and why not? Frankly, because it was quite a weekend. He was mixing with a few characters, wasn't he?
Yeah, he has them all.
The great and the good there.
Yeah.
Let's do a couple more of the messages that we have received then from a Sunderland point of view. This one's from Ryan. Thank you, Ryan, for getting in touch. Evening, lads. Maybe one or two may leave, but not as many would have if we'd not got promoted. Those on loan won't have a future here. I mentioned right in terms of the players on that. So, well, that might not be the case. I think they're trying to get them up, aren't they? But it's good to see us wanting to give Mundle a new contract, amongst others, to fend off other clubs instead of not offering fresh terms. And instead of not doing anything, I trust the owners and the Brees, and they know what we need. Triantis won Young Player of the Year at Hibs, so I think that he will stay rightly. So he deserves a chance to impress as well. So maybe he'll get a look at the. They'll take a look at him in pre-season, and maybe he can be someone, Marco and Davey and Kevin that might feature.
Yeah, I mean, he's a bit of an unknown quantity for us, isn't he? He came a couple of seasons ago now, didn't he? So he was a young player who'd had a strong season in Australia. But yeah, I think if he's played every game in the Scottish, the Scottish top division, you'd have to say that's a decent achievement. And there've been many players who've come from that league and done well in the English Premier League. So it'll be a big step up for him. But I think he's definitely a player who you might have a chance. I think some of the others, the likes of Aushish and Mateta and things like that, maybe not. We've seen that they're maybe not as dynamic as some of the players we have at the club at the moment. So are they going to have an influence? Probably not. So look, but yeah, what a headache to have for the recruitment team. Where do you start? I mean, budget. How do they set out the budget? PSR. We've got all that to get our heads round. All sorts going on.
Yeah. I actually said in the car as we were getting out, didn't I? So I've got a lot of friends up in Scotland, and they've seen Triantis play a few times this season in the middle of the park, and they've said he's been outstanding, and he's actually made the team of the season.
The SPL team of the season, yeah.
Yeah. So when we got out the car, I actually said to both of these, Triantis is going to be our surprise package for next season.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah,
you never know.
Big step up, isn't it, though, from the Scottish League?
It's a huge step up, of course it is. But he can only deal with what he had in front of him, I guess. One more very quick one, because we've got a sporting time of our lives to come in a second, which I know you're all looking forward to. And this one is from, actually no name on it, but it says, this transfer rumour of Jordan Henderson to Sunderland, surely a joke. The Jordan Henderson of a few years back, yes, that would be great. But let's just hang on to the memory of a once class player. If he did come back, surely it would be in a PR capacity. Well, I'm not so sure. Wouldn't he offer something? I mean, he's still playing at Ajax at a decent level, isn't he? He's in the England squad.
He's just got the England squad. Yeah, I think that's a little bit. Look, I think his move to Saudi Arabia was a really negative one. There's only one reason for that move, and that was for money. And I think that's, for a player of his talent, that to me seemed a little bit sad in a way. And I'm not sure why he did that, because he could have gone. The German league is fantastic. The Italian football is fantastic. I've been watching all the McTominay and films this week, and people like Lukaku, who's had mixed times in English football, went out there and has smashed it this season. Why he went over there, I have no idea. To play in front of 8,000 crowds and things like that, ridiculous.
Marco, if he did come back, do you think the Sunderland fans would welcome back with open arms?
Definitely.
I think so. Yeah, I think they would.
Surely a bit of experience for the team coming up.
I think so. I think that's exactly why he was so. You would think he would have been really sought after before he made that move to Saudi Arabia. Why would you not be interested in Jordan Henderson? Would
you take him back, Davey?
Definitely.
Jordan Henderson? Yeah.
Definitely.
Kevin, would you agree with that? Yeah.
I think. He's not someone who I think is going to come in and play every game of the season. No. But a little bit like Luke O'Nien. So we're going to be bringing players in. And for us next season, we're going to need a lot of heart. So we're not necessarily going to have the quality to fly up the league, but we're going to have people who know what it means to play for Sunderland.
You need that in the dressing room, don't you?
You do. The experience and the knowledge that he'll be able to pass on to the younger players as well.
I think that's what would make him a good signing.
Couple of quick messages for you, Davey. Alistair's in Hoyek and says, great to hear Davey on the show. He was like a beacon of light with his comments during the season. Always positive, always encouraging. He is a top man, says Alistair. Michelle says, guys, I'm absolutely loving listening to our Davey tonight. He's the best black cat of us all. And Michelle also says, for me, what summed up our spirit on Saturday was Luke O'Nien with his arm in his sling running onto the pitch to celebrate the equaliser. What a team. Thank you very much indeed, Michelle, for getting in touch with us this evening. Who is ready for a sporting time of our lives then? Yes, okay. Shall I crack on with that now? Basically what we do is something similar to what we do every lunchtime on BBC Radio Newcastle from 1 o'clock, when we play you tunes, 2 different half hours, 2 different years. Got to work out the years from the music and the clues. We just do, well, it's a minute and 30 seconds this one tonight. Again, listen to the music, because all these songs were in the UK charts in a particular year, but there will also be some sports commentary or interview clips to help you out as well. And all you've got to do is work out from all of these clues what the year is. Send us a WhatsApp 08000 321 333 or a text 81333, starting your message with the letters BBC. Let us know what the year is. Is everybody ready?
Who's done it this week then?
Dom's made it this week again. He's got a bit of a monopoly on it at the moment. So yeah, I mean, he's, you know, they're always technically good, but sometimes they're erratic in the content, I reckon. He's not paying attention to us, so he's wandered off to the other studio for some reason. So let's see.
Ladies and gentlemen, today there's one French Open title.
States Open. One last player to dodge, and that is Mickelson, who needs a birdie 3 and a tie for second.
No more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars.
Sissoko needs to get there, needs to square it for Cisse! Cisse scores, and Newcastle United have scored a magnificent goal in the Stadium of Light. Cardozo, good save, he's now got a... Oh, what a...
Davey, working together there when you reckon.
Definitely Stefan, isn't it? Stefan goal.
Couple of options. I think I'm struggling on there.
Yeah, I've changed my mind. Actually, I've gone a lot earlier, but I've now changed my mind because of that last clip. I'm a bit confused, to be honest with you, because something just don't tally in my mind. But then again, I'm probably messing it. I'm talking about Morris. Are you all over that?
No. Total shot in the dog. I'm normally all right, but tonight, total shot in the dog.
Marco, how have you got on with that?
Well, I'm imagining the manager after that, that goal at the end there, which was, I think, one of the best ever Derby goals. It was an absolute peach. So I'm trying to remember when he was at the club.
What about you, Ando? Are you confident?
Got a couple of years.
Have you? You got a bit of time to have a think about it. So has everybody else. So 8000 321 333 on WhatsApp, 81333 on text. Start all your messages with the letters BBC. I can see them pouring into our inbox now. Everybody likes to have a crack at this. It was very well made by Dom, but do you know the year? Well, we'll find out very shortly.
Total Sport North.
Talks over a new deal with another of their wingers. Remain in the UEFA Conference League final. Fast bowler Bryden Cast will start for England in their first one-day international with the West Indies tomorrow at Edgbaston, and Durham have signed the Somerset all-rounder Casey Aldridge on loan for the upcoming Women's T20 Blast. The fast bowler will be available for the first 8 games. In tennis, Carlos Alcaraz has beaten Fabien Marozsan to reach the French Open third round. Emma Raducanu has lost, though, in straight sets to Iga Swiatek. And the score was 6-1, 6-2, so she was well beaten by somebody who can't stop winning on the clay of Paris, to be fair. But still a disappointing result for Raducanu. In golf, the PGA Tour has scrapped starting strokes at the season-ending Tour Championship. You might not know about this, but since 2019, the format allowed the player with the most FedEx Cup points to start the tournament on 10 under par. A bit of a weird one, but they're not going to do it anymore. Can't say I'm bothered that they've scrapped that, Ando. It was silly, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was a bit unfair. I know they were top, but everybody's just chasing then, aren't they? I mean, it's like because Liverpool have won the league this year, giving them a 10-point start at the beginning of the next season.
Yes, it is. It's exactly. You get the best team, it makes it even more difficult to catch. Therefore, right then. Who shall I go to first for the sporting time of our lives? I'm going to go to the combination team of Davey and Kevin, I think. So I'll let either of you answer.
Yeah, so the only thing that for me was the first song.
You got the music, okay?
Yeah, I remember that from a stag doing Magaluf. Right? I'm going to go with 2008.
2008. So you've got okay for 2008. What about you, Morris? What are you going to go for?
Honestly, Papi Cisse, I thought 2014 I've done, so I could be way off.
What about you, Marco?
Yeah, I think 2014, because just the chronology of the managers I've been going through. I think that was Di Canio, I think, wasn't it? When he screamed and slid on his knees when that won it. So I think that was 2014-15. I'm not, that season.
Okay, so you've gone for 2014. Have you? Okay?
So actually, I might change my, because that was that second half of the. No. Oh gosh, was it early in the year? I'm just trying to remember when he came in. Oh, I'll stick with that. Go on, stick with that.
Ando?
Oh, I'm going 2013.
Why?
Because I wrote 2012 and 2014 down.
So you go for the middle. There's a sound logic there. Let's see what everybody else has put then. Steve has been on. He says, is it 2015? Nick in Jesmond went for 2014 and then changed his mind to 2013. Stephen Liam Lane says 2014, but Danny says 2013, as does Philip. Lots more coming in as well. Marky has also gone for 2013, and Marie, who's listening in Seaham, has gone for the same year, 2013, as has John Steele. Richie says 2013. Pass on my best to Davey. Big Al in South Shields, who is never ever wrong, says 2013.
Good.
Ooh. Which it was 2013.
I tell you, that must have been some stat with that.
Our way is the likes of Linton, which we missed badly. It showed power, and you impose yourself on the opposition, and I think we're never going to get away with that. Not for the whole season.
Richie, I think it all depends on the players. You look at Man City's players, and they've got the quality to pass the ball round teams, which they did.
That's the way they
several
play. That's the continental way.
Yeah, but that's Pep Guardiola's way, isn't it? Eddie Howe, with the greatest respect to him, isn't Pep Guardiola, so he's got to play with the players he's got. You mentioned Joe Linton there. You don't play around players with Joe Linton in your team. You use them to his strengths, which is to break up their play and give the ball to our flair players.
That's what it's all about.
But playing Eddie Howe's style, we've got to 5th in the league and qualified for Champions League and won a cup. So he must be doing something right.
Yeah, look, I think we play this high intensity game. And I think it's all about, you've got to look at what you've got. You've got to look at the strengths of the players that you've got. And you play this high intensity game and it can take its toll on you. Fortunately this season we've been very fortunate from an injury point of view. I mean, the last time we got into the Champions League, with the amount of games that we had, playing the way we played took its toll because we picked up an awful lot of injuries. That's why you need depth in the squad. But look, it's a system that has stood us in good stead. It's playing to your strengths. The problem in the Premier League is everybody tries to copy everybody else. When one team started playing this out from the back, everybody, we've got to do it. Argument is, if you can't do it, why do it? Why even try to do it? Our strength isn't about tippy-tapping at the back. It's all about getting into the opposition, getting in their face, stopping them playing, pressing them high up.
So still play some decent stuff. The way you're talking, it's like Newcastle.
No, I'm not saying that. It's a different game to the way Manchester City play. It's a very slow Manchester City. Arsenal, it's a very slow tempo game. When we were at Arsenal a couple of weeks ago, first half we were great, high energy, in their face, couldn't handle the physicality. Second half they took the sting out of the game. They had more of the ball.
You play your strengths,
they slowed it down to the tempo they wanted to play at. But when we play with that high intensity,
all those derbies you look for, they get that all the time.
It's always a good game, isn't it?
You don't want to go down the road there.
I actually enjoy the Sunderland Leeds games more than I do the Sunderland Borough games. I just think there's a bit
more intensity.
More intensity from the sort of 73 cup final time.
Good atmosphere as well.
It just feels a little bit more edgy.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Richard. Thank you very much,
Richard. Cheers,
for
mate.
coming on. Right, I've got a heck of a lot of messages to read as well to try and get through some more of these. This one is from Bill in Sunderland. The burning question of the moment is, when you switch to the summer 1 hour format, we'll be doing that from next week, will the Friday night bookmaker Chris Jones still be doing his slot? Now, we give him the summer off, won't we? Which I think is probably fair enough. But Bill says, every week of the season I put £2 on Sunderland to win and £1 each way on the horse that Chris tips. At the end of the season I am £243.64 up. I don't know whether that's more down to Sunderland.
I was going to say, it's not down to his horses, that's for sure.
To be fair, he's had a pretty good season, I think. I think you're being harsh on him there.
No,
I think he picked it.
Well, he's had a couple of big prize winners as well, hasn't he?
He has.
That's got him out of jail.
So Bill's worried about losing those tips over the summer. Yeah, but he'll be back. He'll be back in July, Bill. It's not too long, but I will pass on that message. Simon says, Mark Gay, who's being linked with Newcastle. I've seen him on TV games. I'm not particularly impressed. He looks okay in slow-paced England games, but he wouldn't be my choice. He's nowhere near, and he's too small, says Simon.
Is he better than what you have?
He is. Well, no, I don't know about better, but we've got an aging back four now. You know, you've got Dan Burn 33, Trippier 34, Shaw 33 or 34. We need, and Botman is quality, but he's always injured.
Yeah.
So we've got. I mean, Mark Gay's Premiership proven his England class. He would be an astute signing for us. I really think so.
I mean, you were kind of talking about the squad depth, and you're in the Champions League, and
we need 25 players.
Yeah, you kind of need 2 first-team 11s
100%,
to compete on all fronts in the league, and you'll go for you'll put everything into the Champions League and the league, I would suspect, and maybe the cup competitions might be kind of not prioritised, but FA Cup. That these are the things that you want to be kind of trying to win, because you do need to start attracting the big players. You kind of want to get up there amongst them, challenging for
Kevin,
the league.
I think getting into the Champions League this season's been huge for us. To attract players.
Yeah.
You stick that in front of them and say, we can offer you Champions League football.
Yeah.
That's a big incentive for an awful lot of players who want to play in the league competitions.
And it's always been a thing with which you have kind of broke a little bit, and you kind of always have the stigma of trying to attract big players to live in the northeast. You have done that recently, and I had a conversation with someone about, from our point of view from Sunderland, is they're going to look across to you and kind of see your Tonali's and all these, your Isaacs playing up and living up in the northeast, and they're going to kind of want to think, if they're going to be there, we can go there and it'll help us.
That's a question like Ando. Liam Delap? He's rumoured to be going to Man United. Would you, if you've got Man United and Newcastle coming for you, where do you go for your Liam Delap? Champions League,
you see,
or do you go on the rebuild at Man United?
You see, the lap thing's an interesting one, because I don't think he'll want to go somewhere where he's going to be second fiddle, and I think even 30 million quid, not a great deal of money in today's market.
That's a fair point.
Well,
he will see himself coming here.
Would he be first choice at any of the top 6?
He would have been Man United, or not the top 6, but he would have been Man United. I could get a game at Man United.
Yeah. There is an argument with Man United though. Is at what point do people stop saying that? Oh, it's a sleeping giant. You could be the player to go and revive it. They've been saying that to players and strikers for the last 15 years. They're nowhere near, are they? I mean, they're really struggling.
They've spent fortunes,
billions,
on absolutely
rubbish.
Yes,
average players.
Although
some of them must have been okay, Ando. They must have been.
Well, Hoyland was brilliant at Atalanta, wasn't he? He was great there. He was
Hoyland wouldn't get in the starting 11 in any other team in the Premier League.
But now it's almost like they've destroyed him as a player. He's a good young player.
70-odd million.
Yeah, I agree.
But he was brilliant at Atalanta, wasn't he, in the Champions League?
You can imagine that being a madhouse. That could be a madhouse.
And played for Denmark as well. He was brilliant. And then he came to Man United and he's just gone backwards.
They all went to Manchester United and have been rubbish.
Well, because the culture at Man United seems to have changed. You hear Roy Keane talk about it a lot when he's on the telly about, this would never have happened when we played for Man United, because you were proud to play for Man United. There was standards and people weren't allowed.
I'm afraid. This one's from Dan's just coming down in South Shields. To whoever said that the derby will be early in the season, it won't be. It'll be the last weekend in November. That's because I've already booked a trip away with my wife for her birthday then, so that's when it's going to be, says Dan. He just knows it. You end up missing it. You'll miss one of those things. Anyway, and Loads of people, Davey, are messaging for you.
Thank you very much.
I haven't got time to read them all.
No problem.
Gaz in the Toon, lots of Newcastle fans are sending their best.
Yeah.
Andy in Sunderland says, great to hear Davey on the show. And the poem that the BBC used for the final, I'd like to dedicate it to Davey and to my dad as well, his late father. He wants to dedicate that to him. It was a poem, a very emotional poem that we used before the final. And go on, Davey, lad, and how are the lads, says Andy.
Good lad.
In Sunderland.
Yeah.
Any very quick closing thoughts, Davey, you want to
share? Just great to be back on for the show and that, and hopefully I can get better than I can, and then I can get back on.
Get back you on again.
And that's all I want. That's all I want in life.
We wish you all the best.
Help the family.
We look forward to speaking to you again.
Morris, thank you very much indeed.
Pleasure. Thank you for having me all season.
Great to have you both in the studio this